Swirling, 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 swirling. It's cold in New England. Yes.
Hi.
Kristy, how are you?
Good. How are you? Just a little bit here. There we go. It looks so nice where you are. Where are you? It's like miserable here today.
It's yeah, it was one of those fall days,
Oh,
like 60 degrees, crisp, sunny.
oh.
Can't complain. Um,
I can.
well,
I can't complain.
I'm so happy. I've never got to talk to you in
I
person.
know. I know.
Oh my goodness.
It's
This is
awesome.
a thrill for me.
Well,
So
me
thank
too.
you for
Me too. I'm excited. I'm
awesome.
always happy to talk Finger Lakes anytime. So.
Yes. Yes. Once I do my intro on you, everyone can see why. Uh, so, all right. Well, let me get started. So, folks, this is Wine and Three. Um, and the three part being, we usually have three topics that we cover. Usually, it's the region, a grape variety, the producer, the winemaker, and then actually we go into the wines. And Kristy was kind enough to pick two, actually three wines from the Finger Lakes region, which for most people really don't know about him. They are ignored, underrated, a lot of different adjectives I can throw out at the Finger Lakes. And I was thinking ahead because it's fall, and I'm like, what a great time to be in the Finger Lakes. Um, I'm going to get started. My name is Pete. I am the founder of Great American Nosh and some other Nosh entities. We use the tagline Eat, Drink, Savor. We focus on food, beer, and wine, education, and entertainment. And this is part of our programming. We do this every 2 weeks. I do this with Emmanuel Montevecchi. We are going to be doing that next week. And so we've been doing this rotating for at least several, I don't know, 7 or 8 months at this point. And Kristy Wenz has agreed to join us as a special guest. Now, Kristy Wenz is a PR guru. She's
Yeah.
been doing this for over 20 years. I believe her wine journey started 10 years ago, or maybe more. She is a we set level 3, which for you folks, that means she's certified and actually has studying education behind her on this stuff. She's a freelance writer and a columnist, and she has been in many publications. She is also the CEO and founder of Endura Communications, a PR firm, I believe in Chicago. Is that right?
Yep. Yep.
Great. Um, and we have two more.
Yeah.
She is just came back from some harvest brush activities. She is actually the assistant winemaker for Hickory Creek Winery in Michigan,
Yeah.
northwest of South Bend, I believe.
Yes.
And the reason why, besides the reason why she's here, she actually did a 3-year stint working for the Finger Lakes Tourism Marketing Association. So if you want to add anything I've missed, please do.
Yeah, no, that about sums it up. It was freelance work for the Finger Lakes wine country folks, but just
Got
fantastic, and it solidified my passion for sure, and
Yeah,
definitely got me into
sure.
vines more than I was
I'm
prior
so,
to that. So
and folks, she did come from harvest activities earlier today, so I'm surprised you're even standing up at this
I'm
point.
barely
You're
awake. No,
really awake.
it's just normal
All
for
right.
this time of year, so I'm all good. I'm used to it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to go jumping right into this. We're going to talk a little bit about Finger Lakes. I'm going to start, and Christy's going to obviously add in a lot of color and things that I've missed or have misunderstood about the Finger Lakes. The thing is, with the Finger Lakes, they're actually not that far from my house, but here's a little map if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. There's the Finger Lakes. There's where I am. 6-hour drive. You can see sort of in the middle of New York. Um, and the Finger Lakes are exactly what you think they are look like, fingers. There is about 11 lakes, but really it's three main ones where most of the wineries are located. There's Cayuga, Kuka, I think I got that
Cuca,
right.
Cuca.
Cuca,
Yep.
Cuca, and Seneca. And Seneca, I believe, is where half all the wineries are located. Um, and I believe wineries really started around in 1970s, late 1970s, like 79, and it became its own AVA in 1982. And it was mostly area where they were growing, the Concord grape, the Vitis lambruscas, and just because of the climate. It's very cold during the winters, and summers it could be really hot.
Yep.
And there was really no temperature. But the interesting thing was there was a gentleman called Dr. Constantine Frank, who's the pioneer of the region, and he convinced people during the late 60s and 70s when he was at Cornell yes, you can grow Vitis vinifera in the Finger Lakes region, which a lot of people didn't believe, thought he was a kook. And I guess from what I understood is that they've grafted Vitis vinifera onto the American roots. That's how they get them to grow there. And also the other key is that I didn't know about this, is that if it wasn't for the lakes, the grapes wouldn't survive. So the lakes have a tremendous effect on the survivability of these grapes. Because if you've been in New York, upstate New York during the winter, it's brutal.
It's cold.
And they're not that far from Rochester. So they're like, that lake effect snow. They get pounded, right?
Yep. Which is good. They want the snow. The snow actually helps.
That's exactly right, the snow cover. So I'm going to leave the floor and let Kristy talk to me about what I missed and actually some color to what we're talking about with the Finger Lakes.
Awesome. Cool. So, the Finger Lakes, actually, you can go back all the way to 1882. They were making sparkling wines there, which just blows my mind. And they had, at one point during that time, up to 50 wineries, mostly doing hybrids. They were doing Catawba and Isabella. So, focused on the hybrids as well as all the Concord, like you mentioned. It goes all the way back to 1882, and which is really kind of fun to think about. I mean, that's old for the United States, right?
It is.
And then flash forward to, like you said, Dr. Constantine Frank really kind of brought vinifera forward and started planting Riesling and a lot of the grapes that we have there today. And really, you can find almost anything there. There's even some people producing, I think a Barbera I've had from there. So, I mean, you can find a lot of grapes in the Finger Lakes that do really well. And like you said, it's owing to those lakes. So they moderate the temperatures. They keep it warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer. And those winds keep those vines from freezing. Because, of course, that is a risk that, frozen nights, freezing temperatures can kill vines. And they do have some issues with that at times, but the lakes really help. And Seneca Lake and Cayuga Lake actually haven't frozen in a really, really long time. So those stay, open water that the winds can kind of blow off of and warm the vines up.
Now, is Seneca a deep lake? I mean,
very deep. I want to say I don't know how deep. I've seen different measurements. I can't recall off the top of my head if it's 600 meters or feet. I don't remember which it was. But
is that why most of the wineries are around Seneca? Is because of that?
Yeah. Seneca's got the most, and they've got good slopes there too, a lot of land. There's an area on the eastern side of Seneca they call the Banana Belt, which gets actually warmer temperatures along that little portion, which is where a couple of the wineries we're going to talk about today are located. So they actually get some warmer temperatures, get some decent amount of sun, and just have some beautiful vineyard properties there. Seneca does have the majority of the vineyards, I would say. But all three lakes have vineyards. There's 3 AVAs there now, the Finger Lakes AVA, Seneca, and then Cayuga also has an AVA.
Oh, so they have okay, I didn't know they had those other ones.
A couple sub-AVAs in there. It's such a beautiful region. It's really the soils, too, that make up so much of these wines. Because the lakes were carved out by glaciers. So you have all the sediment and the soil that the glaciers brought down with them. So you've got sandstone and shale and loam and sand and some alluvial rocks. And I saw today a Finger Lakes producer actually posted a picture of a volcanic rock that they think probably came down from the glaciers. So the amount of different types of soils they have there is really incredible. And that's why so many of these wines have so much minerality, too. They just...
and there's a lot of variability to all these wines, too, right?
Totally. And that's, they talk a lot about vintage variation in the Finger Lakes because the weather is going to be different every winter. You could have a really, really cold, awful winter. It could be a moderate winter. So the winemakers are really playing with the vintages and the vineyards. So it's, you're going to get a lot of vintage variation, which is kind of a challenge for winemakers, but also fun too, because it kind of, they have to think differently and, they're going to have to work with different conditions every year.
I would imagine it behooves them to be able to source their grapes from different vineyards and different plots.
Yes, many of them.
Wine. Yeah.
Yeah, a
Okay.
lot of them, I mean, there's, obviously a lot have estate vineyards, but there are some big growers there where some of the wineries will also source some of the grapes. And it's just, that's one of the things that's really cool about the region, and what made me fall in love with it too was the sense of collaboration and cooperation there. I mean, it is just a really amazing community of
Yeah.
winemakers and viticulturists and farmers all wanting to help each other out, and they'll share equipment and they'll share knowledge and expertise, and they'll
Mm.
team up and they'll do projects together, and it's they're really all about that rising tide raises all ships kind of mentality. Like it's not super competitive. It's they want everybody to succeed and do well that's there. So it's just a really cool region to
Yeah. It's well, you have to be hardy to live up there, so
a little bit, yeah.
you gotta be a little, you get a little bit of, a little toughness to go up there. But
A little bit.
so, and my thing with the Finger Lakes is, I did a few cross country trips in my life, and
Nice.
I'd always go through that region, and I think I had a love interest up there at one point, but that's another story.
Yeah, another story for another time.
And this was probably 25, 30 years ago, and the wines I had just really weren't that good. But as I've discovered through doing this programming and all my reading, is that the wine has just stepped up. The quality has stepped up. They realize like you just can't put out crap wine anymore and get away with it, even if you are in a pretty region. Just people aren't going to visit you anymore. There's just too much on the internet to ruin you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and there's so much, knowledge and information about how to make quality wine now. It's really hard you have to really try to make bad wine almost. And, good wines start with good grapes, and they've got that too. So it's like they've got the potential to really shine. And like you said, they are. I mean, even in the last 10 to 15 years, it's the change there has just been dramatic.
Awesome.
It's really just incredible. We found it on a road trip too. That's how I found the Finger Lakes, was on a road trip going out east.
Yeah, it was Route 20, I think, is what goes through
Okay.
there. But,
Okay.
yeah, or 80 or yeah. Well, anyway, it was beautiful. We went through it during the fall a couple times. So I'm going to shift gears, and you were kind enough to pick two wineries. Very interesting history with both of these, and I am piqued. My interest is piqued by your choice for one of those wineries.
Okay.
So let's start with Wagner. Okay. I'll write off a couple things, and then you could add in something about Wagner. But I believe, if I got this right, I think this is one of their shots. Not my best photography here, but that is gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. That's so Wagner was founded in 1979 by Bill Wagner. He passed away about 10 years ago. They're on the eastern shore of Seneca, the Seneca Lake, and I believe he designed. Before he even started the winery, he actually had designed the 8-sided building, which was kind of neat. I don't have a picture of it here, but I'll show. I actually show it later when I geek out. Awesome. So, I believe this is quite an operation. I was impressed. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
They don't fool around. So like, they have 250 acres. They have 34 wines. 20 varieties of grape. They do 50,000 cases per year, which is amazing. And they said that they have 100,000 visitors per year, which blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's amazing. And they're now in their 5th generation. There's 7, I counted, 7 family members working there. So that's pretty cool. And I believe in 1983, the Ginny Lee Cafe started, so they felt like food and wine was a great pairing and a natural pairing.
Yep.
Believe in that too. And in 1997, they actually started a brewery. I didn't even know that either. So, and I'm a beer guy as well. No one knows that, but I am a beer guy. And they've had the same winemaker since 1983, which is amazing to me.
It's incredible.
Ann Raffetto, I think, is the winemaker. And they are really known for their Rieslings. And they had, I think 5 or 6 different Rieslings, if I'm not mistaken.
Quite a few, yeah.
Quite a few. And I know you've picked a few. We're going to talk about the wines after this. But tell me a little bit more about Wagner and anything else that I missed.
Yeah, so Wagner, you picked it for a couple reasons. You could find it at your store, so that was part of it. But I visited with them on several trips out there, and it's an amazing family. They are just such wonderful people, and always willing to talk about the wines and the winery and the viticulture, and really just educate. And one of my favorite things about them, John, who is the patriarch of the family at this point, he's big into the viticulture and the vines. And every time I'm there, we just completely geek out over their vineyards and his harvesting techniques, and talking about clones and disease potential, and all this stuff. And so it's just one of my favorite spots to go and talk. And I learn so much, probably more from him than I do from any textbook. I mean, he's just a wealth of knowledge. And just a great individual too. And they have so many different Rieslings, so many different Cab Francs. They do some Bordeaux varietals and blends, and it's impressive.
They got a lot going on with 34 wines. I mean,
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And they have, so there's something for everybody, sweet to dries, and they focus mostly on the vinifera. They do have some hybrids as well. But yeah, they're just a really neat family, and they're, if you want to know anything about viticulture or winemaking, they are always happy to talk about it. And even the folks that work in the tasting room, I mean, it's like they're part of the family. The collective, I don't know, feeling of happiness when you walk in there is just, I just love it. It's just such a cool place.
Awesome. Well, cool. All right, so I can't wait to get into their wine. And the next winemaker is Ravines.
Yeah.
Now, again, they don't have the history that Wagner does, but they were established in 2001, so they're, about 19, 20 years old. It was started by Martin and Lisa Hallgren. Martin, he's got an interesting history.
Yeah.
He's Danish, and his family, when he was a teenager, moved to Provence to start, I don't know, either start a winery or join a winery, and he worked at their winery in the south of France. And he learned, obviously, his craft by doing that. And he's got a European degree. Sorry about the hound dog.
That's right.
And then I guess his wife is from Texas, which because he did some winemaking in Texas, believe it or not. And then in 1998, he started working as a winemaker for Constantine Frank, the pioneer, which was kind of fascinating. I'm like, oh, okay, there's the connection right there. And I believe they bought their first parcel, which was 17 acres on the eastern slope of Kukea. Did I say that right?
Keuka. Yeah, and I'm probably saying it wrong too.
Keuka Lake. Okay. Which is a little bit further west of Seneca, but and it was in between two ravines. Obviously, that's why they say ravines. So, and then they started buying more parcels, and then they in 2012 they bought where now their main location is, which is the old White Springs Winery, which is on the northwest side of the Seneca Lake, right below Geneva. And this I didn't know, which again I knew a lot of some of this stuff, but not all of it. They actually, for 4 years, they were tabbed as the top 100 wine by Wine Spectator, which is an amazing accomplishment for their Riesling. All right. So you can add some more, and then I got my next question after this. But go ahead.
And he was also, Martin was also trained at the wine viticulture school in Toulouse, France. So he got his education in Languedoc, which I also have a thing for the Languedoc too. So it's like full circle for me here. And it's another family-owned property. And he's actually trained several winemakers in the region as well. And they've just got this beautiful property, very, some just beautiful, beautiful vineyards that they take pristine care of. Yeah, it's just stunning out there.
Look at that. Why wouldn't you want to go there?
Yeah, right? I know. I want to live there.
Oh my goodness.
But it is, it's a stunning place, and they're known for their Rieslings, but one of my favorite things about them is their traditional method sparkling wines. They put out some outstanding sparklers, and they're just beautiful. Pinot Noir, Chardonnay blends, some Blanc de Blancs, and they're just incredible. So I've always had a lot of fun when I've been tasting there, and then Cab Francs, and they do most of the other varieties as well. So.
All right. So we're going to shift because my next question is going to be right to this, right?
Yeah.
So, folks, Kristy was kind enough, and after looking at what I had locally, she was kind enough to recommend three wines, a dry and a sweet Riesling from Wagner. And believe it or not, she recommended a Cab Franc from Ravines. And they are known for their Riesling. I believe Mr. Hagren is known as the pioneer in dry Riesling from
Yeah.
Finger Lakes, the sweet Riesling.
Yep.
So my question is, why did you pick the Cab Franc?
Uh, One, because it's my favorite grape,
Ah,
favorite wine. It's absolutely tops my list.
yep,
And it's because I fell in love with it at the Finger Lakes. So I think
yep.
when people think about the Finger Lakes, they traditionally think Riesling and it's white wines, but they really do outstanding Cabernet Franc, as well as some Zweigelt and some Blaufränkisch. So these cooler climate reds that just really, really excel there. So it's not just a region for white wine lovers. You can find
Okay.
lots of fantastic reds there too. And actually, when we first drove through there, I think my first trip there was in 2011. I
Yeah.
didn't like white wine. I didn't drink much white wine at all. I was hardcore red wine drinker. And so when we were there, that's primarily what we tasted. And I fell in love with the region based on their red wines. So I always like to put red wines in a mix when I'm talking about the Finger Lakes because they shine there just as much as the Rieslings do.
But you worked in that region, and you want to promote them as much as you can. So I get
Yep.
that. So I'm gonna just show people what the wines we got here. So this is the wine we have, and the 2018 dry. We're gonna go with that one first, I would imagine, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would do that.
yeah, and I'm breaking in my new white wine glasses.
Awesome. Very nice.
Yes, we have a tendency to break a lot of wine glasses at this house for some reason.
Yeah, I
I
do
don't.
too. I won't throw my husband under the bus, but it's not me that breaks them.
Um, oh, this is very nice. It's kind of like
What was the vintage on this
a
one?
little
Is it
well, it's probably 18, I think.
Okay.
2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And that was a very
Um,
wet autumn.
was it wet season? Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. In the autumn at harvest time, it was a little dicey. We had a lot of flooding happening.
Mm. I get a little grapefruit on that front.
Nice. Pull mine up
I don't
too.
know what you
It's
get.
not the same wine, but it is a Riesling.
Yeah, yeah. A little something going on the top end. I can't figure that out. But I'll get there. But kept it a little cool.
Awesome.
Cold, but can't be too warm.
Yep. Mm-mm.
Yeah. What do you get on the nose?
Well, mine is older, and
Okay.
it's different. So, but I would expect on
Uh,
a Riesling, anywhere you can get anything from tree fruits to citrus to some tropical notes, depending on the weather that year. And
Get
if
like
it's
a
aged a
pineapple.
little bit, you might even get some petrol, some honeysuckle notes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm actually getting a little pineapple.
Yeah.
On
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Not uncommon for Riesling.
Yeah. That petrol. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, it starts, I mean, 18's not that old, but the Finger
Yeah.
Lakes Rieslings really age really fantastically, owing to the acidity, the fruit flavors they have. You can really hang on to these for a while.
Well, for somebody who drives a lot, that smell of gasoline when it's on your
Yeah.
fingers.
Yep.
I
Yep.
smell it on the top. I
Yeah.
don't smell it on the bottom. I smell it on
Okay.
the top.
Okay.
Uh,
Nice.
yeah. It's almost giving me the headache again. But I'm
Okay.
like,
That's so funny. My son says that all the time that gives him a headache. That's why he can't mow our lawn, is because the smell of gasoline gives him a headache.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Now it's coming through now because now the wine's getting a little bit warmer now.
Okay.
So I took this out, filling stuff. See, it's live TV. That's what happens, folks. See. I'm not used to these glasses either. These are like the
It's
real.
all right. I've been known to actually get some down the side of my face. I'm like, it's not always that elegant. Stuff happens. It's real life.
Do I smell anything? I might get a little lime, but that's about it. A hint of lime.
Awesome. Yep.
That's all right.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna go diving in.
Go for it. All
Um,
right. Cheers,
yep.
friend.
mm. Wow. Boy, that's got some acidity. A little tartness.
Yeah. Yeah, it should.
Yeah. I was like, well, I know that other Riesling's gonna throw me a candy bomb in my mouth. But
Okay.
this,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one,
It's my
this one's
favorite thing
good.
about these Rieslings. Same with
Yeah,
like Alsatian and dry Rieslings from the Mosel area. They all have that just powerful acidity, and that's why I think that's what
yeah,
gets me every time. Is it just? Whew. There's actually one from a winery on Cayuga Lake that they call Acid Head because it is such just a shot of acid. It's amazing. If you like acid in your wine, otherwise
yeah.
it might be a bit much, but because it's high.
Yeah, and you know what? Obviously on the nose, I got all the citrus, I got a little bit of the petroleum, but definitely in the finish, there's no fruit at all. I really don't
Okay.
taste much fruit.
Okay.
I don't know if that's intentional or if it's just me with my abused palate over the years,
No, you
but
never know. Do you get any minerality? Because that's what I
yeah,
always get on the finish of those. For me, is
yeah,
more minerality
yeah.
than fruit. I don't know how to really define minerality other than it's just what pops in my head.
Like, yeah, rocks. Yeah,
Yeah,
rocks.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, not that I've ever tasted rocks, but that's kind of what I imagine that they.
Like, it's not like licking a salty rock. It's just like
Right.
licking normal
Yeah.
rock.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. I have licked a salt cave. We were in a salt cave once where we got to lick the wall, which we did do that.
When I visited a farm for the first time in my life, I did go to the Salt Lick and see what the heck the cows are
Okay.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah. As well.
That's kind of it's kind of
I'm
not too
not
much.
licking any cave walls during COVID times, though.
No, no licking.
No licking of
Oh,
cave walls right now.
even when I went to Ireland, I didn't even get to kiss the Blarney Stone, so I didn't.
Oh, that's not
I
right.
got sick that day. Yeah, it was one
Oh
of those.
man, that's the worst. That's the
That's
worst.
um, this is very interesting. It's actually surprising, believe it or
All
not.
right,
Very
awesome.
surprising.
In a good way, I hope.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
Okay,
in a
okay,
very
good.
good way. Like I told you, last time I had Finger Lakes wine was probably 25,
Yeah,
30 years ago, and it was not pleasant
yeah.
experience for me.
Yeah, and
Um,
to that point, like I think that's true in most places that are like emerging wine regions in the States.
mm,
There's a learning curve, right? Like you've got to plant
yeah,
some stuff that you don't know if it'll work or not, and some stuff will, and
yeah,
then you've also got to cater to the crowds that maybe like the sweeter wines, maybe like are there for the slushies and the parties, and that's the money making end. And while you build up the what you really may want to do. And I think it's also, when you look at Europe, like there's hundreds of years and generations of winemakers behind so much of this. And here,
yeah.
an old winery is 1980, right? And that's mind-boggling. I don't like to
That's
think of
not really
1980 as
old.
old because, right? Like I don't want to think of that as old. Yeah,
I know it's
I
not
was
that
live
old.
then.
Well, you know what? It's hitting me on this wine. This reminds me of some Albarinos I've had this summer, where
Okay, okay,
they have that tartness. It's almost getting to the point where I am tasting some grapefruit. Uh,
nice.
but they're very interesting, and I like Albarinos. I really do.
I do too. I do too.
And
Big fan.
I like you. I do enjoy the German and the Alsace Rieslings, and they have a little bit more sharpness to them, a little bit more fruit forward,
Yeah.
more pear apple tones to it.
Yep. Yep.
This reminds me
And
of all the Albarinos I've been drinking.
okay.
So
Wild. And what's fun too is I've been to some out there where you can actually taste the difference between vineyard blocks. Like it's crazy. And
yeah,
down to the clone. Like they have these clones and the clones taste different and the vineyard block will taste different and it's obviously vintages will taste different. So it's
yeah,
always I mean they always taste like a Riesling, but they'll have like different elevated characteristics versus
yeah.
some of the other
And
ones and it's
and
just
from what I
cool.
read, yeah, what I read on the tasting notes for this Riesling is that they picked this one. I believe this is a blend of two vineyards of
Okay.
theirs. I forget which ones, but
Okay.
they said blend of two vineyards. It's definitely low on the alcohol level, which is good
Yeah.
for if
Yeah.
you socialize and you want to go out and have a few. You got to be careful, but two of these won't kill you necessarily.
True.
But
True. Now, what would you pair it with? The one you have. What foods would you pair with that one?
hmm, well, let me think. I think it'd go well with chicken, to be honest with you. I didn't
Yeah.
with chicken.
I could do that.
I don't know if it'll go well with the fish. It depends on how my wife cooked the fish tonight, but
Yeah. Yeah, that can be tricky.
I don't think it can handle a lot of spice. Like in other words, it wouldn't. like I think the sweeter one would handle like more spicy
Yep.
food, anything that has a little bit more aromatic to it. This
Yep.
might throw it off a little bit.
I think chicken's a good call. I like it with salads too, and just
Yeah,
without food because it's just easy. It's an easy wine.
yeah, I think. Oh, definitely with some cheese. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. That'd be
Hmm,
nice. I'm hungry.
not bad. All right, that's a
Awesome.
good.
Cool.
That's good. Well,
Yay.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna save the sweet one for the end because
And yeah, yeah.
I,
And is
I don't want to.
how do they classify it on the back? Because it was the classic Riesling, right, from Wagner.
Yeah,
Do they
it
have the
was.
Riesling scale on the back of the bottle?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Okay.
They have. So
Which I
folks,
love that they do that.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
they have that little one right
Awesome.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's on the far left.
Yep.
I wish I knew what the heck they were measuring on that, but they don't really tell you. They just say.
Yeah, it'll be the
dry,
residual
dry.
sugar levels.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be sweeter.
Sweeter. Anyway, and folks, I always talk about marketing and obviously labeling. Classic Riesling bottle, very
Yep.
long, tall neck, can barely fit in your fridge unless you had take out the shelves.
True. I wish they would design a wine fridge that actually had capacity to hold all like Burgundy bottles, Riesling bottles. Like they're all designed for Bordeaux bottles, and
See, now we're geeking out, right?
yeah.
So that's the most frustrating part about Rieslings is that they don't fit on my door or my fridge,
Yep.
and then I have to like move food out of the way to get them in there, or I have to lay them down flat. And then, like, if I add the vacuum in, obviously, after
Oh, then yeah, there's no way. Yeah,
forget it.
not fitting.
But like, I better just guzzle the bottle down right now. I'm like,
That's why they're low ABV. We can do that.
yes, yes, exactly. All right, so we're gonna shift to the ravines. Where's my bottle of ravine? Okay, very interesting. Into kind of a an interesting kind of I call that more of a drawing, but it's kind of that estate thing. Obviously goes back to his obviously French
Probably.
background
Yeah.
where he worked. Very straightforward. I did aerate. I always do these
Right.
days for
Awesome.
red wines. For folks who haven't seen this show before, I always advocate aerating your wine no matter what. The red wine in particular. Got to let it breathe. That's a 2017, so it's a relatively young
Yeah.
wine.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be a lot of pent-up tannins maybe. Some fruit needs to oxidize a little bit. And you're going to have much more rounded flavor when you try it. So I'm not going to bore Kristy anymore with my
I'm good.
rudiment. But
I never bore talking about wine. You can talk wine all day long.
yes, yes.
I'll be happy.
So, and my classic decanter, which is a carafe that was inherited part of my wedding. Anyway.
Awesome. It looks very classic.
Yes, it is. It's it's got the swan neck, right?
Yep. Yeah, I've got a few of those like old school Italian carafe decanters that I don't even know where they came from, passed down from somebody. So.
Yep. Ooh. Oh, ooh, wow, what an interesting note that was.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even describe what that was. Is that a plum?
Could be.
I felt like I was biting a fruit with that one.
Nice.
That was very interesting.
I'm a big fan of
Ooh,
these.
wow, boy, I'm talking about, you got a complex nose here.
Yeah.
First was fruit, then the next one is definitely some sort of mineral.
Okay. Graphite, maybe?
Some
I always get like graphite or pencil shavings with Cab Franc.
Oh, what does that smell? It smells like, it's not potting soil. It's,
Any green bell pepper in there?
a little bit, not much.
Okay. Okay.
Much. I don't get a vegetable thing going
Okay.
here, but it's very fascinating. That was a wild nose there. You
Awesome.
picked a good one. You picked a good one
Awesome.
here. This is good.
I like these. I got a lot of ravines in my fridge.
Ah,
I get a
see.
lot of those. Yeah. They're a favorite.
And then just let people know, I always focus on wine value. And for me, people don't, I don't have an unlimited budget when it comes to wine. I always try to focus on stuff below 25. I think you can find a lot of great wine under $25.
Yeah.
I believe this was, 17, 18, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Wow. Whoa. It was almost like a sponge. Like
Uh-huh.
a sponge. like a wet sponge, not like a moldy
Okay.
sponge,
Okay.
but like a fresh, wet sponge.
Ooh, all right. That's cool. I don't know if I've
How
ever.
about that one?
That's yeah. I'm gonna have to go smell a wet sponge now. I can pick
And I'm
like I
like
can. It's like a
the
vague memory of like opening. Yeah, when I was a kid.
like a traditional
Yeah.
yellow sponge,
Right. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom used to always use those.
Oh, wow. That's good. Okay.
Diving in.
I'm still smelling it. I could just smell this wine all night. I mean, I haven't had too many wines where I wanted to smell it for like 25 minutes before I.
And these age also really well. I've had some.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, every
Um,
now and then Ravines will do like a library tasting and they'll pull out some older vintages and they're founded in '01, so it's not going to be like super old, but they're going to have some age to them and they're amazing.
oh, nice finish. It's a good balance here. A little bit of tannin.
Mhm.
Given its age, I expect it. So
Yep, yep.
mine's a little. It's not. I got a little chill. Just not. It's not room
Okay.
temp.
Perfect.
It'll warm up a little bit. I think it's going to change a little bit in the next 20 minutes, but
Okay.
very, very
Nice.
good. Like,
Love it. Love it.
oh my God, this tastes so much better than the red wines I had at Finger Lakes 25, 30 years ago. They were horrible. They were like
Yeah.
so thin. Well,
It's
it was like
changed it's
drinking.
changed a lot.
It was like drinking water.
Yeah.
Like red
Yeah.
water. And I'm
Yeah.
like, there's no body here. I mean, this body's very light. I don't think it's that. It's not heavy, not medium. I
No.
think it's more on the light side.
Yeah, and you'd expect that. These are, it's all cool climate reds, so they're going to have lighter body than you would say from like a California Cab Franc. That's going to be completely
Got
different.
got
These remind me more of like Loire Valley Cab Francs.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, which actually the Finger Lakes is slightly warmer than the Loire Valley,
Yep.
and it has more warmer growing degree days than even parts of Central California, which just blew my mind when I found that out. I was like, how is that possible? But
Well,
yeah,
it's fascinating. That's why there's so much great wine being produced these days in the United States because people look at, if you think about latitudes and stuff like that, and
yeah,
obviously ocean influences, there's so much great wine being produced.
yeah, it's
Because
amazing.
people always like, well, the climate isn't the best. I'm like, yeah, but if you drew a line on the globe, you're in
Yeah,
you're in the same latitude. Now,
right.
obviously, you can have a little bit of a different climate,
Yep.
with wind and topography and things like that. But
Exactly.
my
And then,
goodness.
like you said, all the influences. So here it's the lakes, that's the significant influence.
Yeah, I mean, wow, 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 wow.
Yay!
I am so surprised. I'm
You're
like,
going to go back there now, aren't you?
I told my wife, like, I showed her the picture of the Wagner.
Yeah.
She's like, oh
Oh,
my God, we gotta go. And I'm
oh my
like,
God,
I said it's 6 hours.
yeah, right. I drive and it's 10. And we drive out there. I was there in January was the last time, but usually we
Yeah,
go out about 2 times a year 'cause it's just a favorite spot.
yeah. This is. Do you know the actual blend of this?
Not on that one. I might see if I don't know. I don't know what that one
Like
is.
I
I
think
think
from
it's
American labeling, right? You have to have what 70%, 80% of the
Yeah, it
grape.
depends on the state, but anywhere from like 70 to 80% depending on the state.
Okay,
But it could be straight Cab Franc too.
like 100% Cobb Franc,
It could
really?
be.
Wow. Because I love the
Yeah, I'd
right
have to
bank
look
Bordeaux.
on that particular one, but oh,
Like right bank Bordeaux's have Cobb Franc.
yep,
Um, they're
yep.
obviously they play a
And
supporting
you'll
role.
find a lot of Bordeaux blends there too.
Yeah,
That's actually what I've got right now.
yeah, and I noticed he had some in my notes. I think I saw him. Yeah, he had a few Bordeaux blends himself. So
Yep. Yeah, the Maximilian I think is one of them.
yep,
That one's
that's right.
that one's
That's
amazing.
right.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think that tartness.
Yeah, it's good
Well,
stuff.
I like a little tannin. Obviously older wines is going to blend out or it's going to fade away
Yep,
with time.
soften a
I
bit
like a
and
little bit of
yeah,
tannin to give it a little. I think this would go great with pork. Oh my
structure and
goodness! Like,
yeah, good call. That would
oh
be
no, I can't hear
yeah.
you. Ah,
Oh no.
I
Oh
can't.
no. What happened?
Yeah, I can't hear
Oh
you.
weird.
I can't hear. This happened to me before. This happened to me with Emmanuel. this is what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm gonna put you back in. All right. So don't fret. Okay.
I won't.
All right. Yes. Let's do that. I'm gonna bring her back in, folks. This happened to me before, so so we're gonna get her back in. I don't know. This is something going on with my thing, but she's got right on here with this Cab Franc. This is fantastic. So we're gonna get her back in. We're gonna finish off talking about these Finger Lakes wine. We're gonna open it up for Q&A. Obviously, there's a lot of people here that have joined, which is great. Let's see if I get her in. There we go. Let's get her back in.
Okay.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Oh, yay!
It worked. Yeah, you never know.
I don't know what happened. Like last time we did this, Manuel was yapping for like a good 5 minutes, and I'm like,
oh no. Oh, yeah. No, you never know.
And of course, everybody who's watching goes, we hear you both. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm the host.
That's right. That doesn't help.
It doesn't help me.
Right. Just lip read.
Lip read.
terrible.
So, just anyway, I was letting people know we'll open it up for Q&A if anyone wants to talk about Finger Lakes. Now, I'm going to go into my geek mode, okay?
Go for it.
All right. Now,
I've been known to get a little geeky myself, so.
All right. So, now bear with the picture because this picture is from the late 70s. All right. I don't know if you can see this, right? So,
yeah.
that is a picture of their 8-sided building. That they opened. That was a grand reopening, 1979. Grand
Wow.
opening, 1979. Now, if you notice, I circled a international scout. The geek part is that I actually owned a 78 international scout, and I immediately my eye went right to that, and I'm like, hey, I had one of those.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
I'm like, I wasn't even interested about the building. I'm like, oh, whatever, a building's a building. I'm like, how about that truck? You know, like I didn't color, but I had a truck like that, and I took the top off, and the thing warped and it rusted. It was a rust kit, but it was the best beach truck I ever had. But anyway,
awesome.
That was my geek moment. That's not even wine related.
Very cool. Love it.
And the other thing I geek out about is punts. You know, these little things at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, if you're a sommelier, you like to have these punts. You can just show and you can hold the bottle while you're pouring it. This has got a little bit of medium punt, which is kind of fascinating. And then all these Riesling bottles have nothing. It's flat.
Yeah.
Dead flat. They don't need these punts anymore. They're not really necessary in glass blowing techniques these days. I know they had them a long time ago. They had to have them. But these days I don't need them. I don't even know why they put them in there in the first place. But anyway, that's my geek.
That's cool. I never really thought about that before, but yeah. Right. Now I'm going to. Now I'm going to have to find out why that is now.
yeah, I know you're going to find out.
I'm curious.
Feeling you're going to geek out with me too. You're like, why they have punts now? Some of the wines I've done in the last several months, really deep punts, like super deep. And then like some of the wines have had carvings, like glass etchings.
Oh, wow.
There was one wine a couple weeks ago where we had, they etched like a little bunch of grapes, and there was two like people, on both sides of it walking the grapes.
Okay.
It was really fascinating. I'm like, wow, that must have cost a lot of money.
Right? Yeah, that's not cheap.
That's not cheap.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Wow, awesome.
When you're talking margins, do you really want to? Well, that's finer details for most people.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Why these, and then so now I'm gonna geek out some more. So, Kristy was kind enough to offer 3 wines tonight, and she and I are drinking 2 of them. I'm gonna try this third one at the end, but we have these 2 Rieslings right here, right? I don't know if you can see this. See this, like, that has like a bit of a blue in the lettering, and then the teal, it's actually teal on the top. So this is the dry one we've been trying, and this is that sweet one I'm going to try. I was like, why? Okay, all right. Maybe that's how they tell them, in
Yeah,
the
marketing.
storage. Marketing,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
yep,
you're a PR,
yep.
guru, kind of do all this. Right?
A few years of that.
A few years of that,
Yep,
yes,
yep.
exactly. And they both are, got the same Riesling long neck. So again,
Hmm.
I don't know the marketing ploy on the Riesling bottles, but that's how it traditionally has been made. So they've obviously kept that up, which is
Yep.
fascinating. But I thought the color was kind of interesting. Like,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Just to
I'm like,
differentiate
okay.
a little bit. And they do all the bottling at the winery there. And I think if you had got a red from them, it would be a cork closure. But a lot of their whites now have the screw caps, and they actually do all of that at the winery.
Yep, yep, the screw caps, and then that's something that me and Manuel are talking about. I think the cow's out of the barn in terms of resistance to the screw caps
Right?
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't. For most people, they're maybe purists and stuff like that. They want the cork, but
Right.
honestly, don't see a difference.
No, no, and with the white wines, if these Rieslings can age for a long time, and that's why they like the screw cap because it actually completely locks out the air. Whereas with cork, you're going to get small amounts of oxygen that come
Yes,
through, and with white wines, that'll be more detrimental than with the reds.
yep.
And these Rieslings can age for 10, 15, 20 years even from the Finger Lakes.
Wow,
So
I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah, they can be really really incredible.
If I have a wine in my cellar for more than a week, I'll be
I hear ya. I hear ya. Yep. Yeah,
even the
mine,
ones
I
I
have to
say I'm
put
gonna
I have to put like post-it notes on mine, like do not
don't
touch.
touch.
Yeah. Like, leave it alone.
I mean, even the ones I do want to lay down, I'm like, within 2 months, I'm like, I gotta have. It's like, come on.
I've been there. I've been there. Yep. Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was.
just the expense, just the
Oh yeah.
expense of running electric and having a space dedicated to your wines, and like,
Yeah.
a Wine Spectator just came out with their last edition where they were showing all these wine cellars, and
Oh
I'm like,
man.
there's no way I would have 200 bottles in my cellar.
Oh, I wish.
Never. Ever.
I
Which
wish.
wouldn't happen. If not, my friends would come over and just gut the
So,
place.
yeah. Yeah. Finish them off for you.
All right. So I'm going to go to this sweet Riesling, and let's see
Awesome.
if I get the cotton candy bomb in my face. But
Yeah. I hope. I don't. Yeah. I don't think it'll be cotton candy. I hope not.
this is their select Riesling. Yeah, I know this is their select.
Hmm.
It's on that other scale,
Yep. Yep.
that we showed earlier.
Yep.
Very nice. It's sort of a light golden.
Yeah. And these go really well with like you said, spicy foods like
Yeah.
Thai
Well,
food,
that's
Indian food. This would
when I first
be.
got into wine. I remember when I was in college and we went out to a Thai restaurant. And of course, I had to get the spiciest dish on the menu. And the 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 waiter actually was smart enough to say, "Why don't you get a Gewürztraminer or something like that?"
Nice.
And believe it or not, that wine really helped me survive the evening.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and it just goes so well together too, like sweet,
Oh, it
spicy. It's
did.
like
It did. And
yeah,
I've had these sweeter Rieslings with spicy food. It's like
yeah,
amazing how much
yeah,
it.
or even
Uh,
like sharp, pungent cheese too. I think goes well with them.
Whoa!
Some sugar there.
Whip up the cotton candy, get
Yeah,
the fair
a little bit
going.
RS, a little bit RS.
There is a lot of our
Yeah,
see now.
yeah,
You're geeking out now. You got the geek thing going. All right, I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Which is not sugar added. It's not added sugar. It's left. It's from the
No, you're right.
grapes. Yeah, sugar
Well,
from the
that
grapes.
well they call that chaptalization, right? Is that
Yeah,
what they
yeah. I get that question a lot though. People ask, does that mean they added sugar to the wine? And no, it's the leftover sugar in the grape that, is
Yeah.
either they either stopped the yeast from eating all the sugar, with the intention of making a sweeter wine, or there was just so much sugar in the grape that the yeast die off before it finishes. So it kind of
Well, do
depends on the
they?
winemaker.
Well, let me ask you this. So they, in terms of winemaking, now I
Hmm.
make wine of my own too, but
Nice.
that's enough. Do they let? I mean, does the sugar content of the grape um, concentrate if they leave it on until like say November or October?
Yeah.
Um, it does. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it can. It'll get more sugar. Yeah, the longer it's on the vine, the more sugar it'll get. And the acidity will start to fall off. And they do ice wines there too. So you can find some traditional ice wine where they'll let the grapes stay on the vines through January and they pick them frozen.
Got it. And then knowing from my winemaking and beer making, you can shut off that fermentation a little faster.
Yep.
To leave a bit of residual sugar in there too. So.
Yep. Exactly.
Do they do both? Or I mean, do they mix both in this? Does Wagner do that? Or do you know?
I don't know. I know they have late harvest, which will be some of the sweeter Rieslings. I don't know if they do ice wine there or not. They might.
You know what? This is going to go with my apple pie.
Nice. All right. All right. Make sure the wine's sweeter than the dessert.
Yes. Yes. Well, the apple pie shouldn't be overly sweet, right? So it's going to be
some cinnamon in there.
It's not going to be drenched in sugar. It's going to have a little bit of the other spices, but it won't be drenched.
Awesome.
I think it will go well. I did a video shoot at a orchard. A friend of mine owns an orchard, Western Mass or Northwest Mass, and I picked all these apples. Now, of course, I, got ahead of myself and picked all these apples.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that happens. I remember my first trip to an apple orchard when I was an adult, and I went out and I came back with just bags of apples, and it was like, all right, now what? That was so much fun to pick them, but now what?
What the hell am I gonna do? Well, because when our kids were younger, of course we take them apple picking.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they fill their bags, and all of a sudden we have 4 or 5 bags, big bags of apples. Like, what the hell are we gonna do?
Like how do you can't eat them all raw? Like you have to. Yeah, apple pies, apple sauce. Yeah,
applesauce, and you're eating them in the orchard too while you're walking around.
Yeah, yeah, and then by the time you get to the last bag, you're sick of apples. I was like, I got to give them away. I can't eat any more apples.
Yeah. So I was reading about this select one. Right?
Yeah.
So the notes were that they actually picked this from the original vineyard in 1979. And that's where they get this Riesling from, which I find was kind of interesting too. And I'm like,
some of their older vines.
Older vines, definitely. Somehow survived.
Yep. Which will be lower yield, have more concentrated sugars.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to cleanse my palate. I'm going to go back to that Riesling that we had.
Okay, nice. And kind of compare.
Yeah, exactly. And then now this is warmed up a little bit. So let's see what we got going on here.
Yeah, you should be able to get some more flavors out of there then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No fruit. The fruit's still not there.
Okay.
A little bit of grapefruit on the end, but that's it.
Okay.
Hardness. I think it needs a more fruit. I actually do think this is more fruit forward here.
Interesting.
But again, it's not blowing me away like that candy bomb I just had. But
and that was the 18 too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that was the 18.
Yeah, funky year.
Yeah, funky year. 2020 is going to be a funky year for a lot.
Great.
California.
So far, the grapes look good. So, at least in Michigan, where I'm at, grapes look good this year. So I'm.
Well, here in New England, it was very dry. Very dry summer. So I don't know what it was. In New York, I would imagine they kind of got a little bit of that too.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll
hopefully we'll have a good vintage this year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if anyone had any questions for Kristy or me. We've been geeking out a little bit the last several moments, but let us know if you have any questions. We're here to answer any questions before they boot us off Instagram. Again, as a recap, I've invited Kristy Wenz, who has quite a resume. A little bit
changes every day too.
Changes every day. Quite a resume. She graciously agreed to do Wine and Three for us here, and she picked. We obviously focused on Finger Lakes because I believe there's a lot of regions in this country that we don't really focus on, and while we've probably ignored Finger Lakes for a little bit, we should probably go back and revisit them. They have 140 wineries over at Finger Lakes, I think, at this point.
There's a lot, and breweries and distilleries and.
Yes, distilleries, breweries. Yep. Obviously, it's a beautiful place to visit in the summer and obviously in the fall. But
I even love it in the winter. I really do. I mean, it's cold. It's cold, but the wineries are less crowded, and so you have a better chance of meeting the winemakers in the winery and doing tastings with them. And so if you like to geek out, that's a decent time to go. And the vines and the lakes are actually gorgeous in the winter.
I agree with you. I used to work for 4 California banks, and I used to go
Okay.
back and forth for business trips to California, and I'd always go to Napa, Sonoma, definitely during the winter.
Yeah.
And boy, you get individual attention
Yeah.
when you show up in the tasting room in
Yep.
January.
Yep.
It's amazing,
So
amazing to me
different.
um, how much better of an experience it is.
Yeah.
And they are very healthy with their pores, by the way.
They're keeping you warm.
Oh, they're keep well.
Yeah.
It's not that cold in California,
True,
but
true. Unless you live in California, then winter in California is cold. Like,
oh,
Yeah.
65, it's chilly, right?
Yeah,
So you're like,
exactly. Exactly. Which is funny
you
because
know,
I
like,
always feel that way. Chicago is kind of the same as New York, like same cold stuff. So in the fall, like right now, like today it's in the 50s and I'm freezing. But if we hit 50 in February, I'm going to be like, yeah, shorts and I'm outside and this is great. But right now it's like,
well,
no, it's cold.
the thing with Chicago, and obviously I've been to Chicago many times, because it's on the Great Plains, and obviously you get the lake.
Yeah,
The wind, I mean, it is cold
it's
because the wind's
cold.
coming in from the north. It's coming from Canada,
It's
right?
cold.
And in New York, obviously the wind is coming through all those tall buildings, so you're getting a wind tunnel all the time.
Yeah.
But there's some topography with New York.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah, not
dead
so much
flat.
here.
Yeah, oh, Chicago, around
It's
is
so
dead
flat.
flat.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
talk about a wind tunnel, it's a wind tunnel.
Yeah. If you see a hill in Chicago, it was probably a former garbage dump that now has become a hill. So it's we don't have much topography.
Yes. All right. So that Riesling is very interesting. It's got that tart flavor to it. I like it. I think it needs more fruit, though. I do
Okay.
think
Okay. Yeah, I'd be curious. You
I
should
mean,
try some different vintages too and see how they differ.
oh, like a vertical. Ooh,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I've done a few of those. They're fun.
Yeah, there you go.
Really
All right.
fun.
Now I'm going back to my Cobb Franc. Gonna.
Sweet. I'm sticking with my Riesling.
Mm, all right. Mm. Oh boy, that
Changing.
that tannin comes through big time. Minerality.
Nice.
Talk about minerality, folks. This is like licking
Yeah.
rocks.
Yeah. That's Finger Lakes. I
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of minerality in wines, and they
I'm actually getting a little bit of cherry, a little bit of
okay.
black cherry,
Okay.
a little bit of maybe a red plum.
Yeah.
No, no, not an overripe plum, but just a
Right.
plum.
Yeah, you don't get much overripe fruit flavors there.
No, you're right. It's just black cherry is coming through big time. I really like it. Wow, this
Yeah.
would go great with. Oh my God, I can think of a pork dish I can put
Yeah.
it with.
I can pretty much eat anything with Cab Franc just because I love Cab Franc so much. It's like, yeah, we'll have a Cab Franc with that.
Well, last night I did a braised short ribs
Ooh,
in Malbec, actually, believe it or not,
nice.
and this would have gone. Fantastic.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would. Yeah, I'm thinking like you have pork roast in my head now, like a seasoned pork roast. Be like,
I'm all about my animal proteins, but because that's how I think from a cook's perspective is
okay.
I build my meals around an animal, or usually an animal protein, and then I add the veggie and the starch around it.
Okay.
Then I pair because I've read a lot of books about wine pairing in terms of what you're pairing it off of, and I think when
Yeah.
you have a protein, you have a starch, you have a veggie, and you have all different spices and roasting and different
Yep.
cooking techniques, you can get yourself into a pretzel thinking about what am I going to pair with all that.
Right.
Yeah, I tend to pair off the animal protein or whatever the protein I'm
Okay.
serving. It could be obviously it could be a vegetable, it could be a protein, obviously, but I'm pairing off that protein.
Yep.
Then the rest
No,
of
that makes
it,
sense.
because if not, you'll never serve the wine. Just like,
Right. Exactly. Well, and I think that's why I like Cab Franc so much, especially the cool climate. I should say cool climate Cab Franc because it's going to have that higher acidity,
yes.
which reminds me like a Pinot Noir too. And their Pinot Noir is so food friendly because of its acidity, and I feel like cool climate Cab Franc is very similar because it's got that higher acid. And,
Yeah, it's definitely, compared to a Pinot, it's got higher acid.
Yeah, and that's the cool
There's
climate.
more tannin to it. All the Pinots I've had have been very elegant, not as they shouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah, and there's some good Pinot out in Finger Lakes too. Actually, there's quite a few that are pretty decent.
Now you got me interested because
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go to Total Wine. And believe it or not, folks, we have 26 seconds. I can't believe I geeked out with Kristy for an hour.
Oh, I can talk for hours about wine, so I'm not surprised.
Well, folks, I didn't see any questions. Hopefully you guys have all enjoyed this. Thank you, Kristy, for joining us.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yep, salute. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
We will see you again
it was
on
nice
Wine
to meet
and
you in person.